Okay, 6:30. In the hallway. I'm gonna find out soon because I just got on a committee with them. So,
I believe that's who that is.
okay. Okay. All right. 6:30, August 7th, 2018, and we have a quorum present. And one on the way, and we will go ahead and call this meeting of the City of Louisville Planning and Zoning Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the July 17th meeting. Do I have any motions? Comments?
Motion to approve as presented.
Okay, motion by Jim.
Second.
Second by Alvin. All those in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 on the agenda is consent agenda plats. We have one consent agenda plat on the agenda tonight. It is for preliminary plat of Crossroads Center North, Lot 2R and Lot 5, Block A on a 11.969 acre tract of land out of the J.W. Johnson Survey, abstract number 1609, the A. Singleton Survey, abstract number 1138, and the BBB and CRR Survey, abstract number 180, with a zoning designation of light industrial located at the northwest corner of State Highway 121 and Leora Lane.
Good evening, Commissioners. There's one plat on the consent agenda to be considered for approval. There are no variances requested. The lot was originally platted as Crossroads Center North Addition Lot 2, Block A. The applicant wants to subdivide the lot into 2 lots and re-establish a drainage easement. A preliminary plat is required due to the proposed variable with drainage easement, and staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approve the plat as presented.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments or questions or a motion? Motion by William.
Second.
Second by Mary Ellen. All those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 4 on the agenda is a public hearing for zoning and special use permits. We have 3 on the agenda tonight. First one is a public hearing for the consideration of a zone change request from Light Industrial District to Oldtown Mixed Use 2 District on approximately 0.172 acres, legally described as part of Lot 5 and all of Lot 6, Block 7, Keeley Addition, and located at the southwest corner of East Walter Street and Harris Street. The request is being made by Randy Riviera, G&A Consultants, LLC, on behalf of Benny Jafari and Henry Ramani, ex-MPK, LLC, the property owner.
Good evening, Commissioners. This property is located at the southwest corner of the East Walter Street and the Harris Street. This lot is currently vacant and is zoned light industrial. There used to be 2 homes on this lot which were demolished around 2012. There has been some inquiries about developing this site for light industrial purposes or uses allowed in light industrial zoning. The applicant has purchased it recently with intent to build townhomes here. The first step to develop the property is to request a zone change. He is requesting a zone change from light industrial to OTMU2, which would allow a townhome on there. And the OTMU2 zoning is in alignment with the Oldtown development ordinance that we adopted back in 2003 for this area. So the applicant has provided a concept plan which is attached to your packet. However, it is different from any PD proposals and so on and so forth. He just presented that to communicate his intent for this lot. So the concept plan is not binding. However, the concept plan does show for proposed townhomes that are attached. Each unit will be approximately 20 to 50 square feet or so, and it will be two-story building with garages facing the Harris Street. The proposed concept will need a variance for it to work. They are having to dedicate the right-of-way at the Harris Street, which is significant to the lot because the lot is slightly narrower than what's needed for their proposal. So if these zoning board of adjustment approves that, they can go ahead and move forward with the shown setbacks. So as in summary, today's consideration is for the zone change, straight zone change from light industrial to OTMU 2 zoning, which is in alignment with the Oldtown Development Ordinance. The applicant is here, and the staff would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, so I have a question.
Sure.
So I understand that this is for just zoning.
Just zoning. Tonight's consideration is just for the zoning. So if the zoning passes tonight, next step for the applicant would be to work on the Oldtown Development Plan and do a replat. At that time, if they discover any other associated variances, they will have to go through City Council for those variances, as they will be associated with the Oldtown Development Ordinance.
Okay. And so the concept that's been is just merely concept.
Correct. It's to express the intent for the lot so that the PNC commissioners and city council, when they approve the zoning, they have a better understanding of what the intent is. However, it's not binding. As some of the PDs, it becomes a binding ordinance and becomes a part of the package for the write-up. However, here it's purely straight zoning. It's not any different from the previous zonings that we've considered for example, R7.5 zoning to OTMU 1 for residential homes and so on and so forth. We are purely considering the zone change request tonight.
Okay, and so there is a possibility if we change the zoning that this could be something other than townhomes as long as it's an allowed use.
Correct. Anything that is allowed in OTMU 2, which are single family attached, detached, and it does allow some mixture of commercial with residential components above, these would be allowed. Currently, what it is allowed here is light industrial uses, as you are aware, retail, offices, and office warehouses, and so on and so forth. And like I said, this is part of the Oldtown area, and the recommended zoning for this particular parcel and this location is OTMU 2, according to that document.
Okay.
Yep.
And did we receive any calls regarding this?
We have some citizens express wanting to know what's going on there, and we've been expressing it. I have not received any letters in opposition yet. We have some inquiries regarding, I just want to understand what's going on near my house.
Okay. Anybody else have any question for staff? No. John?
Well, I guess because if we do grant the change to the MU2, now it opens up a whole host of things that they could do, right?
Correct.
I think that we're talking about a lot of what ifs without knowing what the real plan is.
But it would be an allowed use as
Right.
part of that.
Right. So
That's what I mean. So
yeah.
like if we do that, well, we're going to do condos today, but we might not later.
Well,
Right.
but we have our we have our zoning districts that outline what we want, the allowed uses that we have. And so if they wanted to vary from a use that's already allowed, they would have to come back.
Right, so the lot to the south of it has OTMU 2 use and has the Domino's restaurant, so it does allow different uses on there. However, they will still be in alignment with the OTMU 2 zoning regulations, which are what the city has decided that would be recommended for this area. So light industrial uses such as warehouse with light manufacturing, they might not be allowed as they are allowed today, but it does allow some offices and other commercial components for or residential developments.
Okay, so the city's okay with the I guess a mixed use or some other type of use.
Yes. So Oldtown TOD development plan update shows this area. It actually shows more of a commercial components to the south of this subject lot along Church Street, but along Walter Street they show more of a density that kind of allows townhomes fronting Walter Street or corner wrapping around the Harris and Walter Street in their recommendations for this area.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we approve this, are we granting the right to the 3 requests that are made in the letter,
The waivers.
the letter of intent?
The are you talking about the zoning board of adjustment requests?
They ask the city to consider participating in a waiver or reimbursement.
No, that is part of the application package. Today's consideration is purely for the zone change and the
Purely
recommendation.
zoning, nothing, no other request at this time.
Correct.
Thank you, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. If the applicant is here, would the applicant like to speak regarding this item before we open the public hearing? No? Okay. So with that, we will go ahead and open the public hearing for agenda item 4A. Anyone wishing to speak on this item may come forward. Okay, with no one moving forward, we will close the public hearing for this item. Commissioners, any final discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by William,
Second.
second by Jim. All those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioners, this item will be considered by the City Council for second hearing and final decision on September 10th.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 4B, a public hearing for consideration of a zone change request from single-family residential district to Oldtown Mixed-Use District, Oldtown Mixed-Use 2 District, on approximately 0.64 acres, legally described as all of lots 5 and 6 and parts of lots 11 and 12, Block 3, OB Dick subdivision located at 421 South Cowan Street, as requested by Paul Poteet of Liberation Development Investments on behalf of Jerry D. Tyner, the property owner.
Good evening, Commissioners. The subject lot is currently zoned single-family residential 7.5 and houses a radiator shop. The applicant is seeking to build townhomes on this property. The first step to do this would be to rezone the property to Oldtown Mixed Use 2. This is in compliance with the Oldtown Master Plan, which was adopted in 2003. Staff supports this zone change. Are there any questions?
Okay, so and then for this one, we don't have a concept. We just know that the intent is to build townhomes here.
Correct. Applicant did have a very base level concept that had 6 townhomes or 12 townhomes, 2 rows of 6 facing each other. It was in a very preliminary stage. So.
Okay.
But of course, this is just the zoning, so nothing of the concept would have been binding.
Okay. And did we get any calls on this request?
We did have some citizens who were concerned about the zone change. Typically, if property values would change depending on these townhomes being built, and other site-specific regarding drainage and other concerns that would be taken care of in the development process.
Okay. Commissioners, anyone else have any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. And if the applicant is here and wants to come forward and speak before we open the public hearing, please do so.
Sorry, thank you. So I just wanted to say that we are excited to do this project, and we fully anticipate just coordinating everything with the Oldtown Design Review Committee. And right now it's a little bit of an eyesore, the radiator shop right in the middle of this residential property, if you're familiar with that area, what that's talking about. So just speaking to some concerns, I really feel like this is going to up the aesthetics of that part of the neighborhood and will make a very solid, nice project in alignment with everything that you guys are looking for. So I'm hoping that that will really increase everybody's property value. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we will go ahead and open the public hearing for agenda item 4B. Anyone wishing to speak on this item may come forward. No one coming forward, we will close the public hearing. Anybody have any comments? Oh.
Yes, I have questions.
Okay, hold on. So do we need to, we're gonna need to,
Would you mind reopening the public hearing?
we're gonna
real quick?
need to, can somebody make a motion to reopen the public hearing?
Please reopen. I move that we please reopen the public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Karen, second by Mary Ellen. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Go ahead.
Good.
Yes, you are fine.
I would like to know, it says lots 11 and 12, parts of lots 11 and 12. I'm curious to see how much of those lots. And I'm also really concerned about all the native trees in that area, of how many of those will be sacrificed to put townhomes up.
Okay. Do we want to give the applicant an or does staff want to answer those questions?
Sure. When you look at the map, you can kind of see where the back property lines for the different residential lots runs east and west. And you can see where this property line drops farther south.
Yes.
There was a selling by meets and bounds in the past, and so that's why it's a portion of other lots, to answer that question. In regards to the trees, we do have a tree preservation ordinance with the city. However, any trees that are within the footprint of the buildings themselves may be removed. Outside of the footprint of the building, any trees that are removed would have to be mitigated either through payments or replantings. So it's likely that some of the trees with any kind of redevelopment of the site would be removed.
Okay, but we also have ordinances where we require them to put so many trees in as part of the landscaping requirements.
Correct, yes. In addition to the tree mitigation, there are landscaping ordinances which require planting of trees on the property.
So
Okay.
it's okay to go cut a tree down this size right here and put a new one in and do new development.
It's not quite that simple. There is the ordinance, so there is mitigation requirements that are met, but yes, they would be able to get a permit provided they meet those mitigation requirements to remove the tree.
And I would probably just, as far as mitigation requirements, I would assume that the larger the tree they remove, the harsher the penalty is for removing that tree.
If they choose to mitigate by planting, they need to plant the same number of caliper inches as the tree they removed, which usually means they plant a greater number of trees because you plant them quite small. Or the fee that you'd pay into the fund goes up as the size of the tree goes up.
Okay. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you. You need to.
Oh. Okay, and so is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay, I need a motion to close the public hearing. Do I need a motion to close the public hearing? Okay, well, I'll just close the public hearing then. And commissioners, comments, questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jim,
Second.
Second by Alvin. All those in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. So a second public hearing will be held with the City Council on September 10th for final action and decision.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 4C, a public hearing for consideration of a zone change request from General Business District to Planned Development Estate Townhouse District for a proposed residential development consisting of 32 single-family detached units and 2 open space lots on approximately 5.371 acre tract of land legally described as Lot 1, Block A, and Lots 2 and 3, Block B, Boyd Addition, located on the north and south sides of McCart Drive, approximately 250 feet west of State Highway 121 Business, as requested by Noah Flabanio of Skorberg Company on behalf of Chris Partners Limited, the property owner.
Commissioners, the proposed planned development will consist of 32 single-family detached lots. These houses will be rear entry and will have a minimum of 2,000 square feet dwelling spaces. There are enhanced architectural and building materials. These are seen in the planned development standards. The planned development will also consist or contain 4 open space lots. There'll be 2 large lots on the northern and south boundary of the property. These will exist in their current natural state. There will also be a walking path, park benches, and dog waste facilities in these locations. 2 smaller open space lots will be on the north and south side of McCart. The open space lot on the north side will have a small path, bench, and a dog waste facility, as well as a cluster mailbox. The open space lot on the south will have trees and public parking. There are 3 variances requested with this planned development. All 3 of the variances are related to the screening requirements. The applicant is requesting that the chain link fence on the north side of the lot between this development and the school be left, as well as the natural state to act as a natural screening in lieu of the required masonry screening wall. A similar is request on the south side of the lot between this property and the multifamily development. They're asking to keep the trees and the wood fence in lieu of a masonry screening wall. They're also asking for a tubular steel fence with masonry columns to act as the screening wall on the west end of the lot between the multifamily and this development. Staff has no objections to any of these variances. The applicant has a presentation they would like to give. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have after the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Do I need to state my name or just sign it?
Both, please.
Okay. I'm Noah Flabiano with the Skorberg Company, 8214 Westchester, Suite 710, Dallas, Texas 75225. Let me try to use this. We're excited to be back here in Louisville. We got another great project that we're happy to show you. It's called Park Central Terraces. So first I'm going to go over a brief history of our company, just reacquainting with who we are. So a few example projects, one being here in Louisville that we're on the way right now. Go over the subject property. I think John did a pretty good job in the zoning request, along with the product that we're going to show. It's in your packet, and then some of the development standards and community features that we're providing here. So first is the history. We're a privately held development company. We've been around for 35, almost 40 years. We have about 30 projects in development right now. We have across about 25, 27 different municipalities around Dallas. We've done everything from a 4-acre tract like the one in Louisville we're developing right now, all the way to a 800-acre tract. So we're everything in between. We're very proud of everything we do. We have high quality, and we're known throughout the DFW area. So first is Highland Terraces. This is the one in Louisville. It's on the east side of Denton Tap, just north of 121. It's on the north side of Highland Drive. It's again 32 homes. These are 36 foot wide, or 36.5-foot wide lots, front entry. And these are priced in the low 300s to high 300s, similar to what we're planning here. And our home building company affiliate, Windsor Homes, is building in that project. Another example of something like this that we've done is in Cambridge and Waters Crossing and Allen. Those were in the low 400s to high 400s. This was about 2010 when we completed this one. Cambridge Homes is in there. But as you can see, we've done rear entry and front entry. The south was front entry. The rear is the north side was rear entry. And then Rosemead Villas, it's in the somewhat vicinity in Carrollton. It's a town-owned project with Megatel Homes. Just 46 lots, and those are in the low to mid 300s. They're selling right now. They're selling pretty well. We're happy with that, and it's high-quality product, and that's what we're planning here. And then finally, this is one in North Richmond Hills that we're just under development. This is the same product that we're doing here. That's why I want to show you this one. They're 35 by 115. These are a little bit deeper lots, but they are rear-loaded with an alley, and these are in the same price points, the low 300s to high 300s. So the subject property, as you can see, it's on the west side of Business 121 behind some future commercial pads. It's McCart Drive goes straight through the property. It's paved right now. It kind of turns up to Louisville Elementary and kind of turns into Country Ridge over there. So as you can see, on the north side, it's Louisville Elementary. On the west side, it's Victoria Heights. It's zoned multifamily. It is rental product, but they're standalone homes. They're really skinny. They're front entry, really skinny. And then on the south, you have Autumn Breeze Apartments. And I've been in constant contact with these landowners. We have recommendations of approval or letters of support from them all around. And Louisville Elementary is actually meeting on this at their board meeting on the 13th of August. So we're in contact with all of them. All of them are supportive of this product. And there's the concept plan that I'll go into more detail about. As you can see, as John pointed out, we're leaving 40 feet of buffer from our alley right-of-way all the way to the property line on the north and south side. Those trees are large. We don't want to mess with them. It also cause maybe a drainage problem. You know, there's natural drainage swales on the property lines that we don't want to touch. So again, 32 detached homes. They're alley served. We have the 2 pocket parks in the middle. Again, they're 35 by 120. The product is it's 25 by 80, 90, depending on the product. It's high quality, high price point, and then it's we have almost a little over an acre and a half of open space total on this just small 5.37 acres. So it's over a quarter of the property is open space that we're leaving in this natural state, along with the 2 pocket parks and parking. So it's a natural transition from the high intensity multifamily to the south and the rental units on the west going to the school. It's a high quality product. We're leaving the natural tree lines, and it's the highest and best use for what we see when it's zone general business as it stands now. Being off of Business 121, it's hard probably to get a retail user. This property owner's owned it for many years, and they haven't had anyone come in for any kind of retail. And also, as John mentioned in his report, it's in accordance with the Big Move number 5, which is new neighborhood choices in the Louisville Comprehensive Plan. So just to reiterate the natural transition, you can see how moving to the north, it kind of causes a buffer, kind of slows things down for the traffic going into the school, and also we're maintaining those buffers in just natural state. So our product, these are also included in your packet. They're high quality, a lot of masonry. We do have, I believe, 12 items that we mentioned in the PD that we'll do 4 at least on every single home. And we're excited about this product. And then here's kind of a streetscape view of another subdivision in the DFW area that we went and took pictures of kind of showing what it will look like. And then these are the interior of the homes. You can see the high quality finish outs, granite countertops, tall doors, nice cabinets and things like that. So the development standards, we're going off the ETH development or the zoning category. We're maintaining the minimum lot area. We're increasing the lot width to hold this type of product. The front setback, we're staying at 5, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Rear setback is 20 feet for the alley, from the alley to the home, and then the side setbacks are 3 and 7 feet, and that creates a little bit bigger backyard for these homes. And then along with the home size and lot coverage and building height, we're all in accordance with the ETH zoning category. So here's a little pad just so you can see why we're doing the 3 and 7. You know, if you move one to the side a little bit, you can have that little backyard on the other side of the driveway, and that's what we want. People like to live in their backyard, and along with the green space, they can look over, and all they see is trees. And then the front setback is 5 feet on McCart Drive. A lot of the pads aren't 95 feet. I was just kind of showing that as a max. A lot of them are 80. So what we're happy to do is, and what we're excited to be able to do is, if we do have an 80-foot pad, we can move back that front setback a little bit, or move it forward, so it's not just row houses. When you drive down McCart, they can stagger with the different architectural features. It'll look really good. So you're not just looking at houses like that. It's more staggered. So we just want the flexibility to be able to move the pad along the lot. So again, so some of the features, we're maintaining natural beauty. We're leaving 40 feet, around 40 feet on each side of the alleys. We're requesting to keep the screening in place because the trees act as a screening as their own. We don't want to have to take down those trees to put in a wall or tubular steel fence or with masonry columns. We just want to leave it as is. We don't want to bother them. On the north, Louisville ISD, they're talking about it next week. The neighbor to the south, the Autumn Breeze owner, has requested that we keep what he has and don't tear down the trees because they like that tree line too. And so we have support from all the surrounding property owners just to maintain those trees 40 feet. We'll clean it up as needed. Our HOA is going to maintain, but we don't want to take down the trees to build a wall that won't be seen, or it will be seen if we have to take down all those trees. So here's some shots from Louisville Elementary's kind of parking lot that's right next to the parking lot. You can see the huge trees. Here's some from kind of standing at the school looking. All those trees are really pushed within 20 feet of the property line. We don't want to touch any of those. You're not going to be able to see houses from there or anything like that. And then here's just another shot. It's a panorama. I was on my car taking that one. So we just want to keep the beauty of those trees and not be able to touch it. And then here's the other side. There is the power lines along there, but you can see the huge trees there that create a buffer, a natural buffer. So that 6-foot board-on-board fence is on top of a retaining wall, and we don't want to mess with that at all. And here's some other shots of the fence, and you can see the height, how dense it is right there, so it already acts as a buffer. And then on the west side, there is an easement, a utility easement on the west side, so what we're planning to do is put a tubular steel fence with masonry columns there, rather than the masonry wall, just for more openness, walkability and things like that. It just looks better as aesthetics. And there's already a tubular steel fence on Country Ridge, so we're just going to kind of continue that until you get to the front yards. And then there's some shots of some of the tubular steel fences with masonry columns that we've done in the past. And then finally, our projected price points, low 2s to high 3s. Obviously, we're going to post you might have a starter at $319, but when people get in there, they start spending more money, so they go up from there. So we're excited about this project. Let me know if you have any questions, and I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
So just so I'm understanding, this one as well is also straight zoning. So no?
It's a
No,
PD.
this
is a
one
PD.
is actually a PD, so the
Okay.
concept plan is binding.
Yes.
Well, so I have a question about the concept plan, a couple questions. One, I can't really tell how wide the street is, but is it wide enough for on-street parking?
No on-street parking is allowed, and that will be in the, we'll either stripe it or put signs or something like that. No on-street parking, and that's in our PD. And we'll add that in the, the deeds and everything like that. There's no on-street parking.
Okay.
And the reason for that, just to pipe in, is because it's treated kind of as a collector street from our engineering department,
Okay.
based on the traffic that we expect to go back there to serve the neighborhood. And that's why we've asked that the applicant provide the visitor parking, which is on the south side of the development, to allow for additional parking when guests come over and so forth.
Okay, so my other question is about the visitor parking. Is there something preventing you from punching that parking lot through back to the alley?
Well, we just want open space. There's somewhere to put a park, put a little park bench or something like that. No, there's not anything from our standpoint of punching through, but we like to have, a landscape, and it kind of blocks the visibility.
I see. I think maybe just if the drive aisle where I know that the dead end parking condition it has a potential to be a real nightmare.
I understand. I also don't want people cutting through to the alley if there's traffic or something, school pickup, people cutting through that and coming to pick their kid up in an alley. It's kind of just a preventative factor too. That was the thought with us and staff. I mean, we're open to it, but we just would rather landscape it. Honestly.
Okay, I mean, if you've discussed it with staff, I mean, just an observation of mine, I think that might cause some problems with, as far as, circulation goes, especially if there is no on-street parking. I mean, people are going to have guests come
Right.
over, that parking lot's probably going to get used quite a bit. And I just know when you have somebody coming in and somebody's coming out, it just can be kind of a logistical nightmare. So
Right, and there's also driveways too. So we went by the ordinance, we actually added these in. We can punch it through if that's something that, the commission wants. It's,
I don't think staff has any objection to them punching it through. If that's a concern of the commission and that's something y'all would like to see, I would just note that as part of your motion. I'm sure the applicant can revise the plans before they go to council.
Okay. Well, I guess I will reserve that for, I will see whether my other commissioners agree with me on that. I also had a question about, I see that there's several benches and dog waste stations around the perimeter. Is there a plan for a trail?
no, not around the perimeter, no ma'am.
Okay.
There's a trail that cuts through the northern kind of pocket park there, but there's no trail around the whole thing. We're trying to maintain as much of that tree line as we can, because then we'd have to get out there and grade it, and it would just go, you have to grade 5-10 feet outside just to keep
Right.
property. So
Right.
we're not planning on that.
I guess I'm just concerned about there being, I love that it's open space, and I can certainly appreciate the keeping the buffer. My concern with the open space is that it's really not usable in that regard, because how are you going to get to the bench? You're going to walk down the alley, which is not ideal.
Well, we can put some of the benches, maybe not in front of the homes, but on the corners or something like that, and all through, we're building that the trail on the northern part of the park. We can move them there with dog waste baskets or something like that. It's also for a reason if somebody wants to take out their dog. I mean, it's not going to be like alley and then trees. There's going to be a little bit of right of way there, so you can't take your dog out. And we're just trying to be,
Okay.
convenient.
Okay, so the idea is that people are going to take their dogs. I get that.
And then our HOA
get
will
that.
maintain that area.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I had. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
I have a concern about the underground utilities coming through there.
Mm-hmm.
How y'all gonna maintain that? For as, I know your fence lines, how you gonna do that? Coming off of
McCart.
Country Ridge Road, by the school?
Right.
It's
So are you
some
talking about
underground
like water and sewer?
Other than water and sewer, like gas lines, utilities.
Well, gas will just go straight to the front of the lots in a utility easement.
It's
We're not touching the big easement on the west side. We can't. That's why we're putting the fence on the east side, our side of it. It won't be encroaching at all.
okay.
The fencing, so, you mentioned during the slides that the HOA is going to maintain the trees and the fence, right? Fences?
The open space. The fence is on the property line.
Okay, so whose fence is it?
So the fences that are existing belong to the school and to the multifamily development, and they will remain under their.
So it's their responsibility for the upkeep?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? No?
So then why are we doing a PD for the fence then?
It's not a PD. The variance for the fence line is because they would be required to have a 6-foot masonry fence between per our screening requirements. So instead of them having to tear down a lot of the trees to build the 6-foot fence, the variances to allow the natural state of the land plus the already existing fences to act as that 6-foot masonry fence.
That I get, but
And
That-
typically, the responsibility for the fencing would have been on the multifamily developer or the school, but this property had been zoned commercial. And so since we're going now to single-family detached units, that's why the requirements kind of changed a little bit.
okay, so the school's gonna continue to maintain that wood fence? Cause that's not a new fence.
Correct. The existing fences will continue to be maintained by their current owners. The residents of this HOA will maintain the new fences.
Okay. Alright.
Okay. All right. And just so we are doing a PD, is that because the lot dimensions, is that the reason we're doing a PD instead of straight zoning?
We're doing a PD so that we do have assurance as to what's going to be built. In addition, we have higher standards regarding the architecture of the homes. We have the guaranteed of the open space.
Okay, so as part of the PD, we're approving the concept layout and the facades.
So the facades aren't necessarily going to look exactly like those. They could change, but we are approving the 12 items that they have to provide 4 of per elevation.
Okay,
Do represent.
okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and so with that, we will go ahead and open the public hearing for agenda item 4C. Anyone wishing to speak on this item may come forward. Okay, with no one coming forward, we will close the public hearing for agenda item 4C. I've mentioned something about the dead-end parking. I don't know if we want to include that in with any motion we make. I will leave that up to, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I think the parking's only gonna get more and more, of a topic of concern. So allowing for more parking would be a good idea from my standpoint.
Well, to be clear, I'm not really saying the parking would expand. I'm just saying that the drive aisle would
Oh, I see.
punch through to the alley so that you don't have a dead-end condition where people have to go out and come in the same place.
Oh, okay, all right, I just understand. I agree with that.
Okay, any other commissioners have any thoughts on that?
Continue the.
I'm just saying, so the drive entry, I'm assuming it's 24 feet wide. It's coming in through the street, and then it goes into a parking lot that dead ends. And so I'm saying just push that 24-foot drive aisle all the way through to the alley so that you have a continuous through there.
So there's 2 ways to enter the alley
Yeah,
instead of 1,
yes.
okay.
Okay, well, I will entertain a motion, and if we're in agreement on the drive aisle or not, whoever makes the motion can make that decision.
I assume those trees will have to go somewhere else.
I think they can move out of the way, can they not? Can we just scoot them over?
Yeah, you might line the eastern part, along that, or mostly on the western, so headlights won't go into that side of the house.
I guess the alley on the north side is not gonna have that option though, right?
Right, because that is that's just that's an open space with a sidewalk that goes through it. In which I don't necessarily think, in my personal opinion, I don't think that the alley would necessarily need that break in it. I just think that since we have a dead-end parking space, we could, if we extended it, another maybe 15 or 20 feet, we could just get that to be a through, which would help a lot with the circulation. Since this is the only parking there's no parking on the street, this is the only parking for this entire development, other than we have 20 feet behind the units, so people would be able to park in their driveway. What's the width of the driveways?
16 to 20 feet.
Okay, so you could fit 2 cars. You could squeeze 2 cars on that. Okay. I will entertain a motion if anyone has one, or if we need to continue to discuss, that's fine too.
Well, I guess so did staff talk about this at all? About extending out?
So
Punching through.
we don't recall any conversations. We've been working on this project since April,
Okay.
but we don't have any objection to extending the alley.
Do you think because, I guess the only other thing would just be, having people driving through the alleys on a regular basis, right?
Well, I mean, where this site is located, it's kind of tucked away. I mean, I'm not really anticipating a lot of, if someone's going to be there, they're going to be there for the development, right? To visit somebody or...
Yeah, because the way that the alley is, it's all going to loop back to McCart Drive, which is a straight street. So if you're trying to get through there in a straight manner, you're just going to take McCart.
Right.
My only concern would be, now I live on an alley too, is that you're gonna have people going down the alley and then people going down that street to the alley, so you're almost gonna need a stoplight there.
Well, I don't think we're talking about a huge volume of traffic here.
No, we're not. I mean, you can generally estimate about 10 trips per day for a single family home. So it's not a huge volume of traffic, and McCart is serving as a collector street, so it can certainly handle the traffic.
Do we go ahead?
So, so you'll have, I guess, there's no on-street parking allowed, right?
Right,
So I guess,
correct. I'm just trying to, in my mind, I'm trying to think of how do we make the parking situation a little bit easier? So just that little bit of extra concrete can really help a lot, in my opinion, in that regard. And I think anyone who's going to be in the alley is going to be in the alley anyway. This is not a shortcut to anywhere.
No, the only thing I could think is that some people visiting might use the alley to get out after they complete their visit where they might not have otherwise.
Right.
But we are lucky tonight. We do have Sagar, our transportation engineer, present for the transportation board meeting that's following this meeting. And so we'll ask him if he has any opinion on this subject for you all.
yeah, that's the only thing. I didn't even think of that when I was reading this. Elementary.
That was mine. Two ways in and out, and we're also adjacent to DeGan. We don't have anybody bothering our alley for DeGan, so. You get to meet people in the alley with your, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Pull up into a driveway and play chicken first and then.
Hello, I'm Sagar Metisetti, traffic engineer with the city. I just wanted to talk about the topic that you have been discussing. Typically on residential streets, we have alleys that go all the way and do not have access points in the middle. Since this is only for visitor parking, having an access off of McCart Drive, I think would be sufficient, because residents are going to use the alley to get to their driveways, but visitors just need one access point off of McCart Drive, and they don't need to go through the alley.
Okay, and so it doesn't really, you don't feel like having it at being a dead-end condition really negatively impacts the parking lot. So then on the other hand, would it be, do you feel like punching it through is a negative impact on the alley? From a traffic perspective.
Punching it through, you're asking if punching it through would have a negative impact?
Right, the drive aisle for that little parking lot there.
Yeah, I mean, if you punch it through, then I guess people, residents will use it as a cut through to get to McCart Drive, and, typically we have several residential neighborhoods where we have alleys that, go east-west and there's no cut through in the middle. And since this parking lot is only for visitors, and I think that having access off of the public street would be sufficient, is what I think.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So with that, does that help? Yeah. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to recommend approval as presented.
Okay, motion by Jim. Second by William. All those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. This recommendation will be forwarded on to City Council at their September 10th meeting for a second public hearing and final decision.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 5, just announcing that there will be a transportation board meeting that's immediately following this meeting this evening, and that there is also going to be a capital improvement advisory committee meeting on August 21st, which will be our next meeting.
The time is 7:29, and the Louisville Transportation Board meeting of Tuesday, August 7th, 2018 is called to order. First item is a quorum present, and we do have a quorum. Item number 2 is approval of the minutes of the December 5th, 2017 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? And if not, may I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve, please.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mary Ellen, second.
Karen.
Moved by Karen, seconded by Alvin. I do that every time. Okay, we're good. All right, visitors forum is item number 3.
We got
So-
it. Okay.
Did we vote?
Do we have to vote, right?
Yeah, we didn't vote.
You have to vote, okay. All right, may I have a vote?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
And second by Alvin, right?
Second by Alvin. All
Yeah,
in
so we
favor?
have, I believe, we have Karen Locke made the motion to approve and Alvin Turner seconded, and we just need a vote.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is a visitor forum. Anybody in the audience wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda may do so at this point. All right, having no one come forward. Item number 4, consideration of establishing a speed limit on the main lanes, managed lanes, and frontage road lanes of Interstate Highway 35E from north city limits to the south city limits of Louisville.
Good evening, Commissioners. The 35 Express project was completed in late 2017. The project installed 2 new managed lanes, widened the number of general purpose lanes or main lanes from 3 lanes to 4 lanes each direction, and improved the frontage roads. Upon the completion of the 35 Express project, TxDOT conducted speed studies to establish new speed limits or alter the existing speed limits on the roadway. The Texas Transportation Commission of TxDOT passed minute orders to establish the following speed limits. On the new managed lanes, a speed limit of 75 miles per hour was established, and on the main travel lanes, the speed limit was increased from 60 miles per hour to 70 miles per hour. And on the frontage roads, a speed limit of 50 miles per hour was established from the south city limits to FM 407, and from FM 407 to north city limits, a speed limit of 55 miles per hour was established. The city ordinance needs to be amended to reflect these changes adopted by TxDOT, so that Louisville PD would be able to enforce the speed limits on 35E. The signage has already been installed by TxDOT.
Okay. Commissioners, questions?
I've only seen 70 on the freeway. I haven't seen 75.
Yeah, 75's on the express lane.
Only on the
Oh, and express, I'm sorry.
I go there every day.
Okey doke.
All right, any other discussion? If not, may I have a motion to
Move to accept the TxDOT recommendations for
Move.
establishing speed.
motion by Karen,
Second?
seconded by William. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5, consideration of an amendment to the city ordinances to extend the permitted time for recreational vehicle parking on public streets in residential zoning districts, and make a recommendation to the city council regarding this amendment.
The current city ordinance allows the parking of a recreational vehicle in front of a house on a public street for only 20 minutes. Staff has received complaints from residents that this duration is not long enough to complete the loading and unloading of materials or people. So staff researched the similar ordinances that were passed by other cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and the research has shown that the permitted time for parking of RVs varies. Some cities do not allow it at all. Some cities allow it for 2 hours, 1 day, 3 days, 7 days. Some do it with a permit. So based on the research, staff recommends that a parking time limit of 4 hours be adopted for the parking of RVs on public streets. The 4-hour time limit will give them enough time to load and unload the goods from the vehicles, but also it'll prevent the nuisance of a parked RV on a residential street, which tend to be narrow, from hindering the free movement of traffic on the street. So staff recommendation that RV parking be allowed for 4 hours on residential streets.
Does this cover boats and wave runners and anything that's on a trailer or on wheels, or just RVs?
This is just RVs. Boats, they still have a 20-minute time limit.
I'm curious about the 20-minute deal. Did somebody get a ticket or something? I mean, is that where the complaints are coming from? I can't believe anybody was out there timing it. The 20 minutes where people were complaining. Did someone get a ticket, or why were they complaining?
I think police maybe they received the citation or something.
Oh, okay.
In the past, the city ordinance was vague about the parking of RVs. It just said that expedited loading and unloading of. But then when the Oldtown parking ordinance was revised recently, a 20-minute time limit was established, and at that time, the RV parking ordinance was also changed with the 20-minute limit. And since that's more definite, I believe that PD has been enforcing, and I think my belief is that that's what caused the complaints.
Okay. Is there a limit for a moving van?
For a moving van?
Yeah, is it addressed anywhere in the ordinances?
The same section of the ordinance talks about large tractor trailers, buses,
Okay.
and that's 20 minutes.
That's also 20 minutes?
Yeah.
You can't unload a whole moving van full of stuff in your house in 20 minutes. Couldn't load one in 20 minutes either. Okay, well, I just thought it was RVs, not a moving
But
van. That's what I was questioning.
I believe the intent is for more.
They can pull in the driveway, right?
Really?
I had a mover in my driveway back in the day.
Back in the day, not in your alley.
I don't have an alley.
Excuse me.
In respect to a pull-behind camper, is it required that they keep it hitched to the vehicle? I know there was a police, or an ordinance that police were enforcing if there was a camper that wasn't, or anything wasn't tied to a vehicle, it couldn't stay on the street.
I'm not sure of that.
Okay. Okay. Commissioners? Okay, we have a motion for item 4, 5. Item 5.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mary Ellen, seconded by Karen. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, consideration of an amendment to the city thoroughfare plan to change the limits on North Cowan Avenue between Jones Street and Mill Street and make a recommendation to City Council accordingly.
The Valley Ridge Boulevard extension project was completed in October 2017, and that project required putting in a DCTA railroad crossing on Valley Ridge Boulevard. And the railroad regulations required that for the purpose of granting a new crossing, an existing crossing had to be closed. So the North Cowan Avenue crossing had been closed, and a cul-de-sac was constructed on North Cowan Avenue. So currently, North Cowan stops just short of Mill Street and no longer connects to Mill Street. The city thoroughfare plan needs to be amended to reflect this change, that North Cowan doesn't connect to Mill Street anymore.
Questions? Comments? A motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Karen, seconded by Alvin. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7. Consideration of removal of the school speed zone on Mill Street, Valley Ridge Boulevard, and North Cowan Avenue pertaining to the College Street Elementary School, and make a recommendation to City Council appropriately.
There are existing 20-mile-per-hour school speed zones on Mill Street, Cowan Avenue, and Valley Ridge Boulevard near the intersection of Mill and Valley Ridge. But these speed zones are not utilized by any students. These speed zones were initially set up for College Street Elementary School, which is at the corner of College and Cowan. But all of the kids are in the nearby neighborhoods are bused to the elementary school, and none of the kids use these school zones. The police department previously used to have a school crossing guard at that location, but they have relocated the crossing guard to another school, and there's no need for school zones in that area. I also want to mention that LISD has plans to close College Street Elementary School and move the students to Mill Street Elementary at the corner of Mill and Purnell in in the next school year, 2019-2020 school year. Staff is recommending repealing the school zones on Mill, Cowan, and Valley Ridge Boulevard, which are being unused.
Okay, comments or questions? If not, may I have a motion?
Move to approve?
Motion by Mary Ellen,
I'll second.
seconded by John. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last item is adjournment. May I have a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Alva,
Second?
seconded by Mary Ellen. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.